In 2006, the Indian Army held a formal retirement ceremony for one of its captains. It was a completely standard, by-the-book affair. His pension was finalized, and his dress uniform was carefully folded and packed away into an olive green trunk. He received full military honors, marking the quiet, respectable end to a 38-year career of defending his country's borders. There was only one detail separating this ceremony from thousands of others. The captain receiving these honors had actually been dead since 1968. The Indian military is one of the most strictly governed institutions on Earth. To understand why an official bureaucracy chose to employ, promote, and codify a ghost into its ranks, we have to look at the paperwork. The answer starts at the Nathula Pass. This is a remote border crossing in the Himalayas between India and China. Following the 1962 Sino-Indian War, tensions here were at a breaking point, and the environment itself was incredibly hostile, defined by freezing winds, blizzards, and dangerously thin air. 22-year-old sepoy Harbhajan Singh was stationed in this exact terrain. His daily job was highly dangerous, leading supply trains of mules across narrow, icy trails to keep remote outposts fed and armed. On October 4, 1968, during a period of heavy rain and landslides, Harbhajan lost his footing. He slipped into a fast-flowing, freezing river and was swept away. Because he was alone, he simply vanished. The army launched a strict 5-day search operation. When they couldn't recover a body, military protocol took over. Harbhajan was officially marked down as AWOL, absent without leave. In a matter of days, the bureaucratic machine had completely rewritten his legacy. On paper, a dedicated soldier who had just given his life in a freezing valley was now recorded as a disgraced deserter. The very night that AWOL charge was filed, Harbhajan's close friend, Pritam Singh, woke up from an incredibly vivid dream. Harbhajan had appeared to him, confirmed he was dead, and provided the exact geographic location where his submerged body could be found. A search party followed Pritam's instructions. They walked right up to the spot the dream predicted and recovered Harbhajan's body. The military immediately reversed its stance. They struck the AWOL charge from his record, gave him a full martyr's cremation, and eventually awarded him the Mahavir Chakra, India's second highest military honor. But then, the sentries at Nathula started reporting strange things. Soldiers claimed they felt an unseen hand slapping them awake if they dozed off on duty. Others reported receiving sudden, preemptive warnings about Chinese troop movements before they actually happened. Normally, commanding officers would dismiss these stories as the psychological toll of high-altitude stress. Instead, the Indian Army made a highly unusual institutional decision. They formally adopted the phenomenon. Harbhajan Singh was placed back onto the active duty roster. The Army kept his name on the payroll, and every month they routed a real salary to his surviving family back in Punjab. This timeline of his service record shows they didn't stop at his paycheck. His personnel file was subjected to standard career progression roles. Over the next 4 decades, he accrued time in service and received official promotions, steadily rising from sepoy all the way to captain. The institutional acceptance even crossed enemy lines. Chinese officers actually lodged formal complaints about seeing a man on a white horse patrolling the border. Over time, during high-stakes bilateral meetings between the two nations, military officials even began leaving an empty chair at the table specifically for Harbhajan. The most complex part of keeping his file active was managing his annual leave. Every September, the Army authorized a strict 2-month vacation for the captain. Soldiers would pack his physical belongings into a trunk and escort it down the mountain. The military would even book a physical AC first-class train ticket, paid for and printed in the name of Captain Harbhajan Singh, to ensure his passage home. By meticulously filling out forms, issuing paychecks, and booking train tickets, the Army used the rigid structure of military paperwork to anchor a ghost story into undeniable daily reality. The paperwork functioned perfectly until 2006. That year, Harbhajan reached the maximum age limit for his rank, forcing the military to officially retire him from active duty. A decade later, a civilian court challenge argued the military was promoting superstition using state resources. This legal pressure ultimately forced the Army to cancel the annual ticketed train journeys to Punjab. The troops stationed along the border simply adapted the narrative. They now maintain that because the captain no longer travels home for his yearly leave, he is out there standing watch at his shrines 365 days a year. Civilian law may have ended the official paper trail, but up on the mountain, The localized military protocols and the deep institutional reverence remained completely intact. The real function of this myth becomes obvious when you look at the environment. In one of the most physically unforgiving and isolated terrains on Earth, soldiers staring into the freezing dark need a psychological lifeline just to maintain their morale. Those 38 years of pay stubs and leave requests were never an administrative error. They were a calculated institutional promise made by the military to its people. By officially putting a fallen soldier back on the payroll, the Army provided an ironclad guarantee to every person serving at Nathullah. In this regiment, no one fights alone, and your sacrifice will not be forgotten, even after you're gone.